Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravachakacharya Statara Jagat Guru Saraswarupa Nanda Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravachakacharya Statara His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Chigaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganges Mai Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur's World Mission Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, Gaur Premananda, Hari Bol. Imam Vishnu Padaya, Drsya Krsna, Mati Saraswati, Paramahamsa, Namaste Saraswati. Om. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshulunmilitam Jena Tajmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamaya Dadati Swapam. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual masters have opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto them. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who is established within this material world, the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter at his lotus feet? Haribo Namaste. Welcome, everyone. So today we're going to take up the second half of the 12th chapter of the 8th canto of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Mohinī-mūrti, Bewilders Lord Shiva. In case you missed our last reading, Lord Shiva heard about the incarnation of Mohinī-mūrti, which Krishna manifested to bewilder the demigods so that he could cheat them out of the nectar that had been churned from the ocean of milk. And Lord Shiva, being very Dhira means very sober. He's never disturbed by lusty desires. In fact, when it's stated that when Cupid tried to arouse lusty desires in Lord Shiva burned into ashes. Didn't appreciate the gesture. And so he was curious, could this really be that attractive? I want to, I got to see this for myself. So he gets his wife Uma, Parvati, and a bunch of his ghost friends, and they go to see Lord Vishnu, and he offers these wonderful prayers to Lord Vishnu, and leaving no doubt about Lord Vishnu's position in relation to Lord Shiva, how Lord Vishnu is the supreme personality of Godhead, and that Lord Shiva is his eternal loving servant. And so when he expresses this desire to see the Mohinī-mūrti form, Lord Vishnu kind of smiles and then just disappears. And Shiva's looking around, what's going on? Where did he go? And as he's looking around, trying to find out where Lord Vishnu went, he spies this beautiful young girl playing with a ball in the forest. And he's been watching the girl, and she's bouncing this ball up and down. And as she's bouncing the ball up and down, her breasts are starting to kind of shimmer and shake a little bit. And her hair becomes scattered, and she's glancing here and there. And he starts to be a bit attracted to her. So we're going to pick up with text 22 in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. While Lord Shiva observed the beautiful woman playing with the ball, she sometimes glanced at him slightly and slightly smiled in bashfulness. As he looked at the beautiful woman and she watched him, he forgot both himself and Uma, his most beautiful wife, as well as his associates nearby. Report. The material bondage of this world is that a beautiful woman can captivate a handsome man, and that a handsome man can captivate a beautiful woman. Such are the affairs that began when Lord Shiva observed the beautiful girl playing with the ball. In such activities, the influence of Cupid is very prominent. As both parties move their eyebrows and glance at one another, their lusty desires increase more and more. Such reciprocations of lusty desire took place between Lord Shiva and the beautiful woman, even though Uma and Lord Shiva's associates were by Lord Shiva's side. Such is the attraction between man and woman in the material world. Lord Shiva was supposed to be above all this attraction, but he was victimized by the captivating power of Lord Vishnu. Rishabhdev thus explains the nature of lusty attraction. The attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of the male and the female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 5:5-8. When a man and a woman exchange feelings of lust, both of them are victimized, and thus they are bound to this material world in various ways. So Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has explained in other places that it is, in the Bhagavad Gita, that the attraction, this sex desire, is the engine that runs the entire material world. Everything operates basically on sex desire in the material world. That's why when they go to sell a bulldozer or a jackhammer, they put a picture of a mostly naked, attractive woman on the front of the advertisement, and to attract the mind of the men. And not just to attract the mind of the men, but to bewilder the mind of the man so that he doesn't think too carefully about what is being presented. There's a, I don't know if it's true or not, but there's this story about this in the Marine Corps. These cadets are being put through the training, and they're all in the classroom, and there's like 20 or 30 of these guys sitting there, and so the instructor holds up a Playboy Playmate calendar, and of course there's this beautiful naked woman on this calendar, and he holds it up for 10 or 15 seconds, and he puts it away. Says, "Okay, what was the date circled on the calendar?" And of course, nobody can answer, right? So everyone's mind was bewildered by the sight of the beautiful woman. There's another story I read about one time. This police officers were standing in the parking lot of the police department, and this beautiful woman comes walking up topless, and they're just mesmerized. And she gets in a car and drives away. And it wasn't until she was totally gone that they realized that she had just stolen a police car, because this is the nature of the material world, is that man is attracted to woman, and not only attracted, but totally bewildered by this. And it's just so incredible, because when you analyze it and you think about what's under that thin veneer, that layer of skin, all this pus and blood and fat and stool and urine. And yet, even though we know all this intellectually, everyone knows it intellectually, right? Still, the attraction is there. It's just mind-boggling. It's just Krishna's illusory energy is just so amazingly powerful. And we go on, there's countless examples of this throughout the history of the world, as well as how this attraction to a beautiful woman so captivated the minds of these great warriors that even though they had conquered the entire world, their demise was caused by attraction to a beautiful woman in some way or another. Text 23. When the ball leaped from her hand and fell at a distance, the woman began to follow it. But as Lord Shiva observed these activities, a breeze suddenly blew away the fine dress and belt that covered her. Thus Lord Shiva saw the woman, every part of whose body was beautifully formed, and the beautiful woman also looked at him. Therefore, thinking that she was attracted to him, Lord Shiva became very much attracted to her. Report. Lord Shiva was observing every part of the woman's body, and she was also glancing at him with restless eyes. Thus, Shiva thought that she was also attracted to him, and now he wanted to touch her. Right? Remember this from Bhagavad Gita? How lust works? First, by focusing one of the senses, the eyes, then attachment develops. So now he's seen her, now he has to touch her. Lord Shiva, his good sense taken away by the woman because of lusty desires to enjoy with her, became so mad that even in the presence of Bhaivani, he did not hesitate to approach her. In other words, he's there with his wife and his ghost friends, and yet he has no shame. Even though his wife is right there, he goes and starts approaching this woman. The beautiful woman was already naked, and when she saw Lord Shiva coming toward her, she became extremely bashful. Thus she kept smiling, but she hid herself among the trees and did not stand in one place. His senses being agitated, Lord Shiva, victimized by lusty desires, began to follow her, just as a lusty elephant follows a she-elephant. After following her with great speed, Lord Shiva caught her by the braid of her hair and dragged her near him. Although she was unwilling, he embraced her with his arms. Being embraced by Lord Shiva like a female elephant embraced by a male, the woman, whose hair was scattered, swirled like a snake. O king, this woman, who had large high hips, was a woman of Yoga Maya presented by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She released herself somehow or other from the fond embrace of Lord Shiva's arms and ran away. As if harassed by an enemy in the form of lusty desires, Lord Shiva followed the path of Lord Vishnu, who acts very wonderfully and who had taken the form of Mohinī. Purport. Lord Shiva cannot be victimized by Maya. Therefore, it is to be understood that Lord Shiva was being thus harassed by Lord Vishnu's internal potency. Lord Vishnu can perform many wonderful activities through his various potencies. The Supreme Lord has various potencies by which he can act very efficiently, to do anything expertly. He doesn't even need to contemplate. Since Lord Shiva was being harassed by the woman, it is to be understood that this was being done not by a woman, but by Lord Vishnu himself. So, Aaron, I think you asked the question at our last class whether Lord Shiva was being captivated by the internal potency and the external potency. Here it's answered very nicely. 32. Just as a maddened bull elephant follows a female elephant, just as a maddened bull elephant follows a female elephant who is able to conceive pregnancy, Lord Shiva followed the beautiful woman and discharged semen, even though his discharge of semen never goes in vain. O king, whosoever on the surface of the O king, wheresoever on the surface of the globe fell the semen of the great personality of Lord Shiva, mines of gold and silver later appeared. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that those who seek gold and silver can worship Lord Shiva for material opulences. Lord Shiva lives under a bael tree and does not even construct a house in which to dwell. But although he is apparently poverty-stricken, his devotees are sometimes opulently endowed with large quantities of silver and gold. Parikshit Maharaj later asked about this, and Sukadev Goswami replies. Text 34. Following Mohinī, Lord Shiva went everywhere, near the shores of the rivers and lakes, near the mountains, near the forest, near the gardens, and wherever there lived great sages. Report. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti remarks that Mohinī-mūrti dragged Lord Shiva to so many places, especially to where the great sages lived, to instruct the sages that their Lord Shiva had become mad for a beautiful woman. Thus, although they were all great sages and saintly persons, they should not think themselves free, but should remain extremely cautious about beautiful women. No one should think himself liberated in the presence of a beautiful woman. The Shastras enjoin, Matra Sharshva Dritrava Naivakakshanu Bhavet Balavan Indriya Gramo Vivam Shanam Apikarshati. One should not stay in a solitary place with a woman, even if she be his mother, sister, or daughter. For the senses are so uncontrollably powerful that in the presence of a woman, one may become agitated, even if he is very learned and advanced. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 9:19-17. So there was a nice quote of Srila Prabhupada that Yolanda posted on the WhatsApp app not that long ago that this reminded me of. And let's see if I can find it. Thought it was closer than this. Well, I guess I'm not finding it. Sorry for the false leader there. Anyway, the gist of it was is that we should never have any pride.
Oh, is it the, my dear Lord, on my own I can't do anything. I have no power to remember you. I have no love for you.
Yeah.
I simply surrender
Next.
unto you. You must have passed by it because it's not very far back.
You find it?
I am nothing. Yeah.
You want to read it for us?
And I have that one saved too. Sure. It says, how to pray from Krishna, a prayer from Srila Prabhupada. My dear Lord, on my own, I can't do anything. I have no power to remember you. I have no love for you. I simply surrender unto you. I am nothing. Please save me. And in his expansion of this prayer, Srila Prabhupada has explained, one should have absolutely no pride or belief in their own so-called love, no pride in their ability to remember Krishna or concentrate their mind or anything. One should simply surrender, feeling, I am nothing, please save me.
Yes. It's so important to remember that we're always requiring the protection of Krishna, our spiritual master. So, and it's just also really wonderful how Krishna takes whatever's going on and uses it to benefit as many people as possible. So he takes Lord Shiva on a little tour of all the saintly persons living nearby so that they can just see for themselves how powerful the illusory energy of Krishna can really be. Text 35. 5 again. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of kings, when Lord Shiva had finally discharged semen, had fully discharged semen, he could see how he himself had been victimized by the illusion created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, he restrained himself from any further Maya. Purport. Once one is agitated by lusty desires upon seeing a woman, those desires increase more and more. But when semen is discharged in the act of sex, the lusty desires diminish. The same principle acted upon Lord Shiva. He was allured by the beautiful woman, Mohinī-mūrti, but when his semen had been fully discharged, he came to his senses and realized how he had been victimized as soon as he saw the woman in the forest. If one is trained to protect his semen by observing celibacy, naturally he is not attracted by the beauty of a woman. If one can remain a brahmachari, he saves himself so much trouble in material existence. Material existence means enjoying the pleasure of sexual intercourse. If one is educated about sex life and is trained to protect his semen, he is saved from the danger of material existence. If one can remain a brahmachari, he saves himself so much trouble in material existence. It's a bit of a understatement. There's that little story about the brahmachari who was told to go meditate on the forest, in the forest on the bank of the river by his spiritual master. And he goes and he's out there and he's living by himself and he's trying to focus on his chanting. And he has this one problem, is that there's this mouse that comes up, and because he goes and bathes in the river, then he hangs his underwear up on the line to dry. And this mouse steals his underwear. Now, brahmachari underwear is just a piece of cloth that you tie one piece around your waist, and you fold the other piece in there and tie it together. Very simple little affair, but it's a hassle. You don't have anything, and this without it. He has to go replace it somehow, and he doesn't have any money, and he has to go back into town, and it's this big hassle for him to replace this simple piece of cloth. So he approaches his spiritual master and says, Master, I've got this problem. This mouse keeps stealing my underwear. What do I do? And the spiritual master says, get a cat. He goes, oh, get a cat. Okay, so while he's in town getting some new cloth, he manages to pick up a stray cat and takes it out there, and he's got the cat there with him, and sure enough, the mouse keeps coming around, and he's not being bothered by the mouse stealing his underwear. But he's got this other problem, and that's that the cat is just constantly meowing and hassling. And he goes back and says, Master, the cat will not be quiet. He says, always meowing and this and that and coming and rubbing up against me. And he says, well, he's hungry. Have you been feeding him? He says, no. He says, you got to feed the cat. He says, well, what do I feed the cat? He says, cats like milk. Where do I get milk? Well, you have to have a cow. So Brahmachari goes and gets a cow, and he takes the cow back with him out there to his place when he's meditating. And then, of course, the cow starts moving. Okay, the cow's hungry. He's learned a little bit of his lesson, so he has to take out and he has to take care of the cow and milk the cow and this and that, take the cow to the pasture and bring it back. And he's just cutting into all of his time. He says, comes back to tell us, it takes a lot of time to take care of this cow, to get the milk to feed the cat, to keep the cat quiet so you can keep the mice away. He says, well, what should I do? He says, oh, you need a wife to help you. So then he gets the wife, and then along with the wife comes the nagging. Right? The wife wants this, the wife wants that. Next thing you know, he's getting the kids. And then the kids want this, and the kids want that. And now he's getting, later in life, and it just gets too much. And he goes back to, my dear Guru, now I got all these problems. Says, the kids need this, the wife needs that, the cow needs this. Oh, the cat's still there. He says, what do I do? He says, throw away the underwear. In other words, just take sannyas and be done with the whole arrangement. And so all of that could have been avoided if he had simply, but obviously he wasn't that determined, right? He had these desires. And so when his spiritual master tested him by suggesting that he continued to complicate his life, he went along with it until he got to the point where he was actually materially burned out and was able to accept this instruction that should have been, he should have realized it in the first place. If the underwear is a problem and you're out in the middle of the forest and nobody's there and nobody cares, just get rid of the underwear. Just focus on what you're doing. Don't get distracted by all these things. So, text 36. Thus, Lord Shiva could understand his position and that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has unlimited potencies. Having reached this understanding, he was not at all surprised by the wonderful way Lord Vishnu had acted upon him. Report. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as all-powerful because no one can excel him in any activity. In Bhagavad Gita 7:7, the Lord says, Mata paratam nanyat kinchat asti dhananjaya. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. No one can be equal to the Lord or greater than him, for he is the master of everyone. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 5:142, Ekali Ishvara Krishna Ara Sara Bharita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the only master of everyone, including even Lord Shiva. What to speak of others? Lord Shiva was already aware of the supreme power of Lord Vishnu, but when he was actually put into bewilderment, he felt proud to have such an exalted master. So this is such a nice quality of Lord Shiva, this quality of the devotees of Krishna, that everything, they take everything as Krishna's mercy. They take everything as a blessing of Krishna. And so even though he had been totally bewildered by Lord Vishnu in the form of Mohinī-mūrti, and not only embarrassed by his actions, but he was embarrassed by his actions in front of his wife, all of the other associates that he brought with him. And if that wasn't enough, this had been shown to all of the great sages who are living in the area. In other words, he's been paraded around everyone and made an example of how powerful Maya is and how one can be totally degraded by the influence of the illusory potency of Lord Vishnu. But instead of being angry, what did Lord Shiva feel? He felt proud to have such a wonderful master. His immediate thought was, oh, Krishna is so wonderful. He wasn't dwelling on, oh man, I'm such a jerk. Oh, I've screwed up. I did this. I've been humiliated in front of my wife and my followers and these other great saintly personalities. No. He doesn't go to he's not controlled by the false ego like a common man. He simply thinks, oh, how wonderful is Krishna. And he's so happy to have Krishna as his master. Text 37. Seeing Lord Shiva unagitated and unashamed, Lord Vishnu, Madhusudan, was very pleased. Thus he resumed his original form and spoke as follows. Report. Although Lord Shiva was aghast at the potency of Lord Vishnu, he did not feel ashamed. Rather, he was proud to be defeated by Lord Vishnu. Nothing is hidden from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for he is in everyone's heart. Indeed, the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishtu matash mrityur jnanam apanonam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Whatever happened had taken place under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore there was no cause to be sorry or ashamed. Although Lord Shiva is never defeated by anyone, when defeated by Lord Vishnu, he felt proud that he had such an exalted and powerful master. So, of course, these purports and this whole incident has been presented by Srila Vyasadeva for us so that we can apply these kind of lessons in our own life. It's so important that we understand that Krishna's love is unconditional. Because Krishna's love is unconditional, there's nothing we can do to earn it. You can't buy Krishna's love. You can't buy Krishna's affection. You can't, not only can't you, but you don't need to. There's no need to feel the necessity of it. You can simply take shelter that, oh, I've got such a wonderful master. He's so amazing. And so when Krishna puts us into some kind of difficulty, the devotee automatically, without even having to adjust his consciousness, automatically thinks, oh, Krishna has done this for my benefit. Somehow or another, this has been for my benefit, and my Krishna cares so much for me. He has done this just to help me out in some way here. Text 38. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O best of the demigods, although you have been amply harassed because of my potency in assuming the form of a woman, you are established in your position. Therefore, may all good fortune be upon you. Report. Since Lord Shiva is the best of the demigods, he is the best of all devotees. Vaishnavananam yatoshtumba shambhu. His exemplary character was therefore praised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gave his benediction by saying, may all good fortune be upon you. When a devotee becomes a little proud, the Supreme Lord sometimes exhibits his supreme power to dissipate the devotee's misunderstanding. After being amply harassed by Lord Vishnu's potency, Lord Shiva resumed his normal, unagitated condition. This is the position of a devotee. A devotee should never be agitated under any circumstances, even the worst reverses. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 6:22, Yajman stito nadukanena gurunapti vilachite. Because of his full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee is never agitated, even in the greatest trials. This pridelessness is possible only for the first-class devotees, of whom Lord Shambhu is one. When, oh, when will that day be mine, yeah? Text 39. My dear Lord Shambhu, who within this material world but you can surpass my illusory energy? People are generally attached to sense enjoyment and conquered by its influence. Indeed, the influence of material nature is very difficult for them to surmount. Purport. Of the three chief demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshvara, all but Vishnu are under the influence of Maya. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, they are described as Mayi, which means under Maya's influence. But even though Lord Shiva associates with Maya, he is not influenced. The living entities are affected by Maya, but although Lord Shiva apparently associates with Maya, he is not affected. In other words, all living entities within this material world, except for Lord Shiva, are swayed by Maya. Lord Shiva is therefore neither Vishnu Tattva nor Jiva Tattva. He is between the two. So did you follow that distinction? So even though Lord Shiva is generally not swayed by Maya, the external energy, illusory energy of Lord Vishnu. So therefore he's above the Jiva Tattva. But he's also not the source of the illusory energy. Vishnu is the source of the illusory energy. So Lord Shiva is not Vishnu Tattva, he's not Jiva Tattva, but he's in between, somewhere in between there. So it's kind of like the difference is Krishna is the source of all energies. And these energies of Krishna have the ability to either liberate or delude the Jiva Tattva. But Lord Shiva, being in a special category, is above that illusory energy. It took the internal potency of Krishna to bewilder Lord Shiva. Text 40. The material external energy Maya, who cooperates with me in creation and who is manifested in the three modes of nature, will not be able to bewilder you any longer. Purport. When Lord Shiva was present, his wife Durga was also there. Durga works in cooperation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in creating the cosmic manifestation. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:10, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sa chara charam. The material energy, Prakriti, works under my direction, O son of Kunti, and is producing all moving and unmoving beings. Prakriti is Durga. Shrishti Shriti Palaya Sadhana Strikti Eka Chayeva Yasha Bhuvanani Bihahari Durga. The entire cosmos is created by Durga in cooperation with Lord Vishnu in the form of Kala, time. Sa ikshakta lakam noashara, shama lokam arashtata. This is the version of the Vedas. Aitareya Upanishad 1:1, 1 and 2. Maya happens to be the wife of Lord Shiva, and thus Lord Shiva is in association with Maya. But Lord Vishnu here assures Lord Shiva that this Maya will no longer be able to captivate him. 41. Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, having thus been praised by the Supreme Personality, who bears the mark of Srivatsa on his chest, Lord Shiva circumambulated him. Then, after taking permission from him, Lord Shiva returned to his abode, Kailasha, along with his associates. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that when Lord Shiva was offering obeisances to Lord Vishnu arose and embraced him. Therefore, the word Srivatshakena is used here. The mark of Srivatsa adorns the chest of Lord Vishnu, and therefore, when Lord Vishnu embraced Lord Shiva while being circumambulated, the Srivatsa mark touched Lord Shiva's bosom. 42. O descendant of Maharaj, O descendant of Bharat Maharaj, Lord Shiva, in jubilation, then addressed his wife Bhavani, who is accepted by all authorities as the potency of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva said, O goddess, you have now seen the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the unborn master of everyone. Although I am one of the principal expansions of his lordship, even I was illusioned by his energy. What then is to be said of others who are fully dependent on Maya? When I finished performing mystic yoga for 1,000 years, you asked me upon whom I was meditating. Now, here is that Supreme Person to whom time has no entrance and who the Vedas cannot understand. Report. Eternal time enters anywhere and everywhere, but it cannot enter the kingdom of God. Nor can the Vedas understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the indication of the Lord's being omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. 45. Sukadeva Goswami said, My dear king, the person who bore the great mountain on his back for the churning of the ocean of milk is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Shrangadavana. I have now described to you his prowess. The endeavor of one who constantly hears or describes this narration of the churning of the ocean of milk will never be fruitless. Indeed, chanting the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only means to annihilate all sufferings in this material world. Assuming the form of a young woman and thus bewildering the demons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead distributed to his devotees, the demigods, the nectar produced from the churning of the ocean of milk. Under that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always fulfills the desires of his devotees, I offer my respectful obeisances. Report. The instruction of this narration concerning the churning of milk ocean is clearly manifested by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he is equal to everyone, because of natural affection, he favors his devotees. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samoham sarvabhuteshu na me deveshu stina priya, ye bhavananti tu maham bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. This partiality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is natural. A person cares for his children not because of partiality, but in a reciprocation of love. The children depend on the father's affection, and the father affectionately maintains the children. Similarly, because devotees do not know anything but the lotus feet of the Lord is always prepared to give protection to his devotees and fulfill their desires. He therefore says, Kunteya pratinanani na me bhakteya panashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 12th chapter of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam entitled, The Mohinī-mūrti Incarnation Bewilders Lord Shiva. Nice chapter, yeah? I apologize for not being up on posting everything to SoundCloud. I've been doing the readings, but they haven't been getting them posted, so I'll make a point of getting those up there. I'll based on this purport and this blessing, by Sukadeva Goswami, I'll make a special playlist of all the translations for this whole set of chapters that deals with it. So if anyone has the inclination, you can just put it on and just listen to it all the way through, like I did for the Dhruva Maharaj, and what was the other one we did? We did 2 others like this. We did anyway, they're on there somewhere.
Lord Nrsingadev, maybe?
No, I think it was it. Yeah, nah, I can't remember. I
remember because I didn't.
I know I did it for the Dhruva Maharaj, and I did it for another one I thought as well.
Okay.
Separate playlist where you can just go through and hear the whole, because now you've already heard the purports and we've discussed them a bit, and it's nice just to go back and hear just the translations continuous. The next chapter is fairly short, and I don't think there's a single purport in the entire chapter. So
there's one. I just looked. There's one single purport, but that's it. It's a short purport.
Okay. So I think we have time. If you guys, we'll just go ahead and we'll do the next chapter as well today.
Okay.
And then we'll next week we'll go into chapter 14. Yeah, please. Okay, continuing then. Reading from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Canto 8, Chapter 13, Description of Future Manus. Sukadeva Goswami said, the present Manu, who is named Shraddhadev, is the son of Vivishwan, the predominating deity on the sun planet. Shraddhadev is the seventh Manu. Now, please hear from me as I describe his sons. O King Parikshit, among the 10 sons of Manu are Ishvaku, Nagaba, Drsya, Saryati, Naishyanta, and Nagaba. The seventh son is known as Drsya. Then come Turusha and Prashadra. And the 10th son is known as Vashuman. In this Manvantara, the king, the Adaityas, the Vasus, the Rudras, the Vishvadevs, the Maruts, the 2 Ashvikina Kumara brothers, and the Ribus are the demigods. Their head king, Indra, is Purandar. Kashyapa, Atri, Vashishta, Vishvamitra, Gautama, Jagadagni, and Bharadvaja are known as the 7 sages. In this Manvantara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as the youngest of all the Adityas, known as Vamana, the dwarf. His father was Kashyapa, and his mother Aditi. I have briefly explained to you the position of the 7 Manus. Now I shall describe the future Manus, along with the incarnations of Lord Vishnu. O King, I have previously described in the 6th canto the 2 daughters of Vishvakarma, named Samgyana and Chaya, who were the first 2 wives of Vivishwan. It is said that the sun god had a 3rd wife named Vadava. Of the 3 wives, the wife named Samja had 3 children, Yama, Yami, and Shraddhadev. Now let me describe the children of Chaya. Chaya had a son named Sarvarni and a daughter named Tapati, who later became the wife of King Samvarana. Chaya's 3rd child is known as Shanishchara, Saturn. Vadava gave birth to 2 sons, namely the Ashvini brothers. O King, when the period of the 8th Manu arrives, Sarvani will become the Manu. Nirmoka and Virajaksha will be among his sons. And here's the purport. The present reign is that of Vaivashvrata Manu. According to astronomical calculations, we are now in the 28th Yuga of Vaivashvrata Manu. Each Manu lives for 71 yugas, and 14 such Manus rule in one day of Lord Brahma. We are now in the period of Vaivashvata Manu, the 7th Manu, and the 8th Manu will come into existence after many millions of years. But Sukadeva Goswami, having heard from authorities, foretells that the 8th Manu will be Sharani, and that Nirmoka and Virajaksha will be among his sons. Shastra can foretell what will happen millions and millions of years in the future. Text 12. In the period of the 8th Manu, among the demigods will be the Sutapas, the Virajas, and the Amrita Prahas. The king of the demigods, Indra, will be Bali Maharaj, the son of Virachana. Bali Maharaj gave a gift of 3 paces of land to Lord Vishnu, and because of this charity, he lost all the 3 worlds. Later, however, when Lord Vishnu is pleased because of Bali's giving everything to him, Bali Maharaj will achieve the perfection of life. Report. In Bhagavad Gita 7.3, it is stated, Manushyananam sarhaishya kaschit yatapi sridhaye. Out of many millions of people, one may attempt to achieve success in life. This success is explained here. Radham Indra Padham Itvatatam Shridham Apayashti. Siddhi consists of achieving the favor of Lord Vishnu, not the yoga siddhis. The yoga siddhis, Anima, Lahimi, Mahima, Prapti, Prakamaya, Ishishta, Vashitra, and Kamavashita, are temporary. The ultimate siddhi is to achieve the favor of Lord Vishnu. Text 14. With great affection, the personality of Godhead bound Bali and then installed him in the kingdom of Sutala, which is more opulent than the heavenly planets. Maharaj Bali now resides on that planet and is more comfortably situated than Indra. O king, during the 8th Manvantara, the great personalities Galava, Diptiman, Parashuram, Ashvatthama, Kripacharya, Rishtigarinda, and our father, Vasudeva, the incarnation of Narayan, will be the 7 sages. For the present, they are all residing in their respective ashrams. In the 8th Manvantara, the greatly powerful personality of Godhead, Sarvabhauma, will take birth. His father will be Devaguya, and his mother will be Sarasvati. He will take the kingdom away from Purandara, Lord Indra, and give it to Bali Maharaj. O king, the 9th Manu will be Daksha Sarvani, who is born of Varuna. Among his sons will be Bhutaketu and Diptaketu. In this 9th Manvantara, the Paras and Marsigarbhas will be among the demigods. The king of heaven Indra will be named Abhuta, and Dutiman will be among the 7 sages. Rishabdev, a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will take birth from his father, Ashuman, and his mother, Ambutara. He will enable the Indra named Abhuta to enjoy the opulence of the 3 worlds. The son of Upashloka, known as Brahma Sarvani, will be the 10th Manu. Burashena will be among his sons, and the Brahmins, headed by Havishman, will be the 7 sages. Havishman, Sukrita, Satya, Jaya, Murti, and others will be the 7 sages. The Survashanas and Virudas will be among the demigods, and Shambhu will be their king, Indra. In the home of Vishvarashta, a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will appear in the womb of Vishtushi as the incarnation known as Vishkashena. He will make friends with Shambhu. In the 11th Manvantara, the Manu will be Dharma Sarvani, who will be extremely learned in spiritual knowledge. From him, there will come 10 sons, headed by Satyadharma. The Vihaganas, Kamaganas, Nirvacharuchis, and others will be the demigods. The king of the demigods, Indra, will be Vaidrita, and the 7 sages will be headed by Aruna. The son of Arakaya, known as Dharmashetu, a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will appear from the womb of Vaidrita, the wife of Akyaka, and will rule the 3 worlds. O king, the 12th Manu will be named Rudra Sarvani. Devavam, Upadeva, and Devashrishta will be among his sons. In this Manvantara, the name of Indra will be Ritama, and the demigods will be headed by Haritas. Among the sages will be Tapomuri, Tapashvi, and Agnidrika. From the mother named Sunrita, the father named Satyayasha, will come Shwadama, a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He will rule that Manvantara. The 13th Manu will be named Devasarani, and he will be very advanced in spiritual knowledge. Among his sons will be Chitrasena and Vichitra. In the 13th Manvantara, Sukarmas and Sutramas will be among the demigods. Devashpati will be the king of heaven, and Nirmoka and Tattvadarsha will be among the 7 sages. The son of Devahotra, known as Yogeshvara, will appear as a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His mother's name will be Brihati. He will perform activities for the welfare of Devashpati. The name of the 14th Manu will be Indrasarani. He will have sons like Uru, Gambhira, and Buddha. The Pavitras and Chakshushas will be among the demigods, and Suchi will be Indra, the king of heaven. Agni, Bahu, Suchi, Shuddha, Maghava, and others of great austerity will be the 7 sages. O King Parikshit, in the 14th Manvantara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will appear from the womb of Vitana, and his father's name will be Satrayana. This incarnation will be celebrated as Bridhabhanu, and he will administer spiritual activities. O King, I have now described to you the 14 Manus appearing in the past, present, and future. The total duration of time ruled by these Manus is 1,000 yuga cycles. This is called a kalpa, or 1 day of Lord Brahma. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 13th chapter of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam entitled Description of Future Manus. So that was, I found that quite interesting how Sukadeva Goswami is. First off, it's just amazing that how Krishna can empower a Jiva Tattva to be so incredibly mindful. If you recall, Sukadeva Goswami heard the entire Śrīmad Bhāgavatam from his father Vyasadeva while in the womb of his mother. Sukadeva Goswami, when he first appeared in the womb of his mother, he was already a completely liberated soul. When we say he's a liberated soul, we mean that he had no attraction to material nature. He was already absorbed in spiritual consciousness. But he was an impersonalist. He wasn't aware of the Supreme Personality of Godhead until he heard the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam from his father Vyasadeva. So when he was in that impersonal state, he had no motivation to take birth. So he just stayed in the womb. Why go through the problems of being born and go through that whole scene, right? He's got everything he needs right here, right? He's already, immersed in the Brahman. He's got, he's being fed, he's been cared for, being carried around. But his mother's getting really tired of being pregnant for 18 years, for one thing. And Vyasadeva wants the son to come out, and he's got things he needs to do. So anyway, so he hears the entire Śrīmad Bhāgavatam from Vyasadeva while in the womb. And not just the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam that has been presented in these, 12 cantos, but we're actually hearing things that come from other things that aren't necessarily contained in these first 12 cantos about these future Manus. And so even though he's aware of all of these future events, and he knows the names of all of the Manvantaras and their children, and who's going to be the 7 sages, and who's going to be, and he remembers all these things. Whereas we just read it, and I can't remember any of them, right? I couldn't even pronounce them correctly as we're reading them. I even got it right in front of my face there. Just kind of stumbled through it, doing the best we can. But if Krishna wants to empower someone, like he did Sukadeva Goswami, so after Sukadeva Goswami, here's the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and then he becomes aware of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and how wonderful he is, and how wonderful it is to serve him in devotional service. Then he immediately takes birth and walks away. Right? No attachment to his parents. It's like, here in Hawaii, I keep mentioning this because I'm fascinated by, we got all these tiny little Madagascar geckos, right? And the mother, she lays the eggs and they hatch out, they're like less than an inch long or whatever. And as soon as they hatch out of the egg, boom, they're gone, right? They immediately know how to climb up the walls, walk on the ceiling, hunt for food, whatever, right? They're just out there. They have no family affection or ties or anything. They're just on their own immediately. Matter of fact, they get out of there before their mother or father comes and eats them. They're it's kind of like that in the animal kingdom, But so Sukadeva Goswami, as soon as he takes birth, he's gone. He's going to go, he's got a mission, right? He's got to go find Parikshit Maharaj and deliver the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. And he's so focused and so absorbed in his service to Krishna and what he's going to be doing, that even though he walks by the part of the river where all the girls go to bathe, and as we read from Krishna book, right, and stealing of the garments of the unmarried gopi girls, when the girls go to the river to bathe, they leave all their clothes on the bank. So all these girls are in the water and they're naked, and Sukadeva, he's a young man, he's 16 years old, 16, 18, whatever he is. He goes walking by completely naked, and they don't even care, because they can see he's not in this world. He's somewhere else. He's totally transcendental personality. So then it's just like a dog walked by or a bird flew over, right? They know he's not interested in them, so they're not concerned about him either, right? It's just kind of inconsequential. But when his father, Vyasadeva, who is a householder and is therefore externally making distinctions between male and female and young and all that, they immediately grab their clothes and cover up. And Vyasadeva goes, "What the heck? Didn't you just see this beautiful young boy walk by? You didn't bother to cover up for him, but when I come by, you make this whole big, totally disrupt your whole bathing scene." And they said, "Yeah, we saw it. We realized that he's not, nothing to do with us, right? Whereas you're externally playing the role of someone who does make these distinctions." So anyway, it's just, Krishna is so amazing, right? We all have this, and especially in this Kali Yuga, we're so limited and so easily disturbed by so many things, so forgetful. But if we just simply give up our aspirations and just surrender to Krishna as he instructs us in the Bhagavad Gita, life can be a very different experience. Anyone else have anything they want to comment on?
Hi, Bon.
Sorry.
How about Kati?
I just had a
You
question
go ahead.
about Lord Shiva's playing with Maya.
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you. Let me turn my thing up a bit.
Is
Okay,
it
try again.
better now? Is it better?
I think so.
Is it? Okay.
Now that's better.
Okay. Um, I was just thinking about the Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva and Lord Shiva. I heard from Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, that Vishnu Tattva basically is Ishvara, controller. Is that correct?
Yes.
The way that it works is kind of like waves in the ocean. So Krishna is the main controller and is the last wave, and you don't see the source of Krishna. But all these other Ishvaras, you see their sources, you know, where they come from. So
Yeah.
the one that is Krishna, you don't see their sources. And he was talking about giving the Ishvaras, giving Vishnu Tattva the power of attorney, he said. Said, Krishna gives some power, and basically that power is with regards to their compassion to the living entities and to liberate the living entities from the clutches of material world. Basically, that's what makes somebody Ishvara or Vishnu Tattva, like controller, gives them some power over others, Jivas, right? So I don't quite.
Well, no, they don't.
I don't see how Lord Shiva is between Jiva and Vishnu Tattva.
Well, the Jiva Tattva never becomes Vishnu Tattva, even if he's becomes a Shaktavesha avatar, right? It's Shaktavesha avatar is a Jiva Tattva who is specifically empowered by Krishna to have certain potencies, powers, right? You become a certain level of Ishvara. But the easiest way for me to envision, with a limited material mind, the difference between the Vishnu Tattva and the Jiva Tattva is that Vishnu Tattva is always the source of energy. And then the different tattvas are the energy of that source. So even though Lord Shiva is a potency, he's one of the energies of Lord Vishnu, Krishna. He is an energy. He's not the source of the energy. And so some energies are more powerful than other energies, but they're all energies. They're not the energetic. Does that make sense to you?
I have to think about it because I'm slower. My English is like, I have to think a
Oh,
little
okay.
more. Yeah.
Well, if you think of a light bulb, okay, very crude example. You have a light bulb, and from the light bulb is coming all this light, right? And depending on, anyway, all material analogies always break down, but at some point. But all the energy, the light is coming from the light bulb. You can't separate the two, right? If you have, or the sun is a better example, I guess, than a light bulb, because we're used to turning light bulbs off and on. You can't, right? You can't go turn Krishna off. But so a better example is probably the sun, right? You got the sun and the sunshine. So the sunlight coming from the sun, you can't separate the two, right? They can't. The sun, as soon as the sun exists, the sunlight also exists, right? You can't have one without the other. But the sun is the source of the sunshine, and if you took all the sunshine together, you still wouldn't have the sun, right? Because it's just the energy of the sun. It's not the energetic. So Vishnu is the energetic. It's the source of that power, the source of that energy, and all the sunlight together is the different energies. So when they say that Lord Shiva is between Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva, he's still an energy of Vishnu, right? He's not the energetic, he's not the source. He's still an energy that's coming from that supreme source, but he's at a higher level. The Jiva Tattva can be, he's called the marginal energy because she can be covered up by the external energy, right? Whereas Shiva is not illusioned by the external energy. Durga, the Maya, is his wife, and right, and the husband controls the wife, not the other way around in a Vedic situation. So that's kind of the difference between Lord Shiva doesn't come under the control of Maya like we do. So he's on a different platform, a different level, but he's still an energy of Krishna or Vishnu, who is the source of all energies.
He also controls, right, the mode of ignorance. He's
Yes.
kind of a controller too, like he's Ishvara.
Oh, yeah. He's a controller. He's very powerful. But it's kind of, as we were reading through that, and you're hearing all these different things, a lot of these great personalities that we're aware of, they've got all these other roles that they're going to have to play in the future, right? Millions of years from now, we know what Bali Maharaj is going to be doing. Millions of years from now, we know who's going to be playing the role of Lord Indra, right? It's already decided. It's already going to happen, right? These people may not be aware of it, right? They're just going on living their life as it is, right? Under whatever, but all these things. So Krishna is the supreme controller. All this is already put into motion. Like when Arjuna was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and was so distressed that he was going to be killing all these people. Krishna says, you're not killing anybody. I've already killed everyone. It's already done. I'm simply giving you the opportunity to take credit for it, right? And so you have the option, because we have to have free will in order to have a loving exchange with Krishna. So Arjuna, I'm giving the option. You want to be in the role of my devotee who helps me make this happen. You don't even help me make it. It's already happened, right? But I'll give you credit for it. And you can be, serving me in that way. It's all very humbling. Puts a big pin in the bubble of the false ego, All right, we'll chant for a couple of minutes. Thank you very much. Haribol.
Thank you so much.
Haribol.
From the original sound, I guess. We chant at the end because one time Prabhupada was talking to Acharya Das and he says, Acharya Das, do you chant at the end of the classes? He says, sometimes, but not always. And Prabhupada says, you should chant always at the end of a class. So even if it was for a couple of minutes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Jaya Jaya Śrīla Prabhupada, Jaya Haribol.